let me give you something that just came out from Canada, from the House of Commons and the Speaker of the House. Police operation, House will not sit on Friday, February 18th. That's today. As per the Parliamentary Protective Services, PPS, most recent email notification, a police operation is expected to take place on Wellington Street and other locations in the downtown core of Ottawa. Given these exceptional circumstances and following discussion with all recognized party leadership, the sitting today of Parliament has been cancelled. We wish to remind everyone that safety is paramount. The situation is ever-changing. The continued presence of vehicles and demonstrators associated with the convoy alongside police operations will impact the downtown core. If you are not in the House of Commons precinct, stay away from the downtown core until further notice. The police will advise when it is safe to return downtown. Should you already be in the precinct, remain in your building and await further instructions from police. Holy cow, what is happening in Canada? From Rebel News, Ezra Levant. Hello, Ezra.
Hi, Glenn. The Parliament was debating the Emergencies Act. That's this martial law. They were literally debating it, and then police said, yeah, for your safety, you guys had better stop debating it. Now, of course, the truckers have been in Ottawa for 3 weeks now, but apparently today is the only day that's so dangerous that Parliament has to shut down, Glenn. It's a real shame that it worked out that way. But
hang on just a second, Ezra. It does them no good to have Parliament seated on Monday, and this says that there is, a police operation is expected to take place on Wellington Street. I assume that's right there in front of Parliament, and other locations. So they're saying that something is going to happen this weekend, aren't they? Or today?
It started last night. They started going out and decapitating, so to speak, the leadership of the convoy. They arrested Tamara Litch, who was the woman who originally got the GoFundMe going. She's a young Métis woman from Western Canada. They arrested several others. They seized bank accounts. They've been doing that for several days now. So I should tell you that there are still truckers in Ottawa, but it's smaller than it has been. They've opened up pretty much every single road has at least one lane open. Reminder, in 3 weeks, there has not been a single act of violence or property damage done.
Oh, hang on.
Protesters.
Hang on. I think I'd like to go further than that. In the week before the protesters, there were 31 violent crimes in Ottawa. This last week, there was one violent crime. That is, it's actually reducing crime.
Yeah, and because people are out on the street and they're shoveling snow and they're feeding the homeless and, they're having hot tub parties. But Trudeau needs to justify his state of emergency. By the way, Glenn, the Emergencies Act is such extreme legislation. It was not even invoked after 9/11. It was not even invoked 7 years ago when an ISIS terrorist broke into Parliament in a hail of gunfire. So Trudeau has looked at 3 weeks of peaceful protest. Yeah, were there parking offenses? Sure, yeah, lots of parking tickets. You betcha. Was there some loud horn honking? You bet there was, until a judge ordered them to stop, and they stopped. There was a bridge between Windsor and Detroit that was shut down for a couple days. Local cops got the truckers to move. No violence, no resistance. So, a couple of minor traffic police matters, no violence at all. But Trudeau, never one to waste a crisis, authoritarian by nature, publicly praising people like Castro and Xi Jinping, thought this was his moment. And so he invoked the Emergencies Act, but it doesn't make sense from a public order point of view because, it's just regular cops that could move these trucks if they were breaking the law. He's really using it to suspend civil liberties, suspend Parliament. And I think the most terrifying part, Glenn, is that he is ordering Canada's banks to hand over to him whatever private information he wants about his political opponents, and when he directs them to seize their banking funds. And they've already seized millions of dollars. I want to say one thing, because I know most of your listeners are American. As you may know, Glenn, there's free trade between Canada and the United States. And that free trade is the strongest when it comes to financial services. We have our Toronto Stock Exchange. You have the mighty New York Stock Exchange and NASDAQ and things like that. There is a tremendous amount of back and forth between our two countries. It's seamless. And we both trust each other. And we've trusted each other for decades, even centuries. But now, all of a sudden, if you look at the emergency order, and I encourage you to do so, this edict that Trudeau has ordered banks to give up information on anyone who has supported a trucker and to freeze bank accounts at his command of anyone who supported the truckers, that applies to foreign banks operating in Canada. There are dozens of U.S. banks operating in Canada. And by the way, there are Canadian banks operating in America. So this emergency order specifically has the word foreign in it 3 times. So if you're a customer of Wells Fargo, if you're a customer of Citibank, let's say you're down there in Dallas, Texas, and you donated $100 to the truckers, but you're with any bank that has a branch in Canada, you are specifically covered by this emergency order. So what's the head of Citibank or Wells Fargo supposed to do? Because the little banana republic tin pot tyrant Justin Trudeau says hand over the data and freeze the account. But that's against U.S. banking law, U.S. privacy law, and the First Amendment. So what are you going to do? And by the way, it applies to U.S. insurance companies that insure anyone in Canada as well. And there are dozens and dozens of U.S. insurance companies. Quick example. Let's say you're an American trucker who goes back and forth between Canada and the U.S. There's hundreds of such men. And let's say you honk your horn or you donated $100 to the truckers. But you're a U.S. driver who has a U.S. insurance policy with a U.S. insurance company. You're all-American. You just happen to come into Canada on your route. Well, this emergency order requires your insurer to cancel your insurance policy based on your politics. It is a legal order. And Trudeau says, hey, guys, don't worry about it. I will protect you from civil lawsuits. I will grant you immunity to attack my enemies for me. Well, that might work in Canada, but like I say, you're a U.S. trucker, U.S. insurer, U.S. everything. Are you really going to rip up your contract with an American citizen for expressing his First Amendment rights? If you don't, Trudeau's going to sanction you in Canada. But if you do, you're breaking American law. Trudeau has removed Canada from the family of nations of liberal democracies that can be trusted. He is causing a run on the banks. 2 days ago, the three biggest banks in Canada, and I tried because I have an account with one, and I tried to log on. All 3 of them, their websites were down at the same time. How is that possible? Is that a hack? Or is that millions of Canadians saying, yikes, this is like Venezuela now. I think I'm going to take my money out of the bank and put it in gold or just stuff it under my mattress because I can't trust Trudeau using the banks as his errand boys. So it's bad enough for a Canadian, but I got to tell you, Glenn, if you're an American, you are covered by his emergency orders unless America stands up to it.
Excuse me. Yeah, I see Joe Biden really disagreeing with Trudeau. Hold on just a second, because I want to get your feeling on how this is going to end, because it can't end peacefully because Trudeau would lose. How do you see this ending for Trudeau and for Canada and America, the world, the Western world? Back with Ezra Levant from Rebel News. How does this end? I mean, I don't know what to believe as an American. I don't believe, your press is paid for by the government. Not you, but the CBC and everything else. So I don't believe them. But I don't know what to believe. What do people in Canada think about this? What's going to happen?
Well, there's two baffling narratives right now. We have the state-run media. We have a state broadcaster called the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. It's larger than all private media combined. And then 99% of the private media take an annual bailout from Trudeau. So he owns the CBC. He rents the private media, and it shows. But Rebel News and maybe five other little companies, and I mean mini, don't take the cash. So we try and tell the other side of the story. And we've had tens of millions of views of our videos in the last couple of weeks as people are thirsty for the non-government narrative. Because what has happened here is that 100,000 truckers have participated in these convoys over the past 3 weeks. Now, there's only hundreds left in Ottawa.
Right.
But at its peak, there were 100,000 snaking their way across Canada, and 1 million people went out to see them on the overpasses and the side of the highway. So you got 1 million people who saw with their own eyes the truth of it. And now you've got that.
I've got about 90 seconds, so go ahead.
Here's how it's going to end. There's nothing to end. There is no violence to put down. The whole thing is a kind of hoax, a pretext for Trudeau to have a sort of internal coup, to seize power, to do extrajudicial arrests and seizures of bank accounts of his enemies. There's nothing to end because it was all just peaceful horn honking. The convoy has already won in that it showed mass resistance to the lockdown.
And so does
Trudeau use that?
Does Parliament
and power? Parliament
come back, and does he pay a price in the end?
I don't know. I doubt it. I mean, he's being propped up by the socialists. Trudeau is he's an authoritarian, and he's moving Canada towards his father figure, Fidel Castro. He really is following that example. He's always praised Fidel Castro.
I know.
And I think he's trying to make it Cuba of the North, just without the warm beaches.
Holy cow. Well, that's what everybody wants. Cuba without the beaches and the wonderful temperatures. That's the world's been clamoring for that. Ezra, thank you so much. Stay safe. Let us know how we can help you.
Thank you, my friend.
The founder of Rebel News, Ezra Levant. This is a really brave organization and brave people. You can check them out at rebelnews.com, or you can go to convoyupdates.com and get the latest updates from Rebel News. Pray for them and pray for all of our countries. Pray for freedom. It could be a dicey weekend up in Canada.